Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't noticed already, we have changed the title of the show from Now That's an Episode to Episodes and Then Some. We're going to be dabbling not only with TV episodes, but we will also be doing movies, topics, lifestyles, and we are going to be having guest hosts from time to time, not only family members, but friends. I'm also going to be having another channel with a friend that is across the United States, so be on the lookout for that. Last time I was doing the show, I said that I would have another episode in mind. So, spoiler alert for now. The last episode, there was a lot of backstory, a lot of history. I'm going to try to stay away from that as much. It was a very long episode. I want to try to cut them down a little bit. A lot of people were probably doling out, kind of drowning out of that. So, spoiler alert right now. I'm not going to do that as much. We're just going to kind of dive right into it. Not watching the episode as much. I'm going to try to see how much I can remember. So, in the comments, if you want to go ahead and add in saying, hey, you missed this, you missed that, please do. Go ahead. I don't mind that. But again, please be nice. I'm going to try to remember as much as I can. It has been a while since I've watched the episode. The episode that we are going to talk about today is from Teen Wolf. It's Season 3A, Episode 12, Lunar Eclipse. Now, this is a monumental episode in my opinion. Season 3A, in my opinion, is really where the Teen Wolf episode and season and series in a whole took off on me. Season 1 really started off. You got to know all the characters. Season 2 really started the uphill climb. Season 3A is really where the series just kind of took off. The later seasons, they kind of dipped down a little bit, kind of the up and down. But Season 3A is really kind of where it got its footing. And this one's kind of the culmination of everything that had been going on throughout the season. Especially with Scott and his pack, and more importantly with Scott. It's been building up through the episodes of Current and everything. You've seen Scott tapping into his potential of being what they've been calling a true alpha, where he had the potential of rising to become an alpha without having to steal or take that power. So we start the episode off with Scott, Allison, and Styles becoming the sacrifice. They each experience their own portion of the sacrifice in regards to taking the place of their parents, and they each discovering where the Nematon is, and they each realizing that they potentially kind of are connected in that, and they know exactly where to go. When they come out of there, they realize that they've been in there for 16 hours, and they only got like 3 or 4 hours before the lunar eclipse is set to happen. Scott decides he's going to fulfill his bargain with Deucalion and go meet up with him. And at this point, Derek has also drained his spark of being an alpha to heal his sister. And this was kind of Peter's plan all along. You kind of have been seeing that as you go along. Again, spoilers. I'm not going back to explain anything else. So again, if you haven't watched these episodes up until this point, please, I hope you have stopped this, gone and watched it, so you're kind of not sitting there scratching your head. So Derek has drained the spark that has made him an alpha. He's back to being a beta, and he has healed his sister. Peter has convinced him, look, your battery is run low. You need to leave town because Kali and the twins are on their way. She's going to kill you if you don't leave town. They're on their way to Kali is on his way to kill you, and you need to get out of town. So Derek takes his sister and they leave town. He says don't stop for anything. Kali shows up at Derek's loft, and Lydia is there, and she screams, and Derek and Corey hear him and start coming back. Well, Jennifer, who has been the Dark Druid that has been doing all the sacrifices to gain power to stop the Alpha Pack, breaks in, and she ends up killing Kali, and she ends up incapacitating the twins after they have merged. Now you come to find out later that she incapacitates them, but she doesn't kill them. And Deaton and Lydia are able to get them to the veterinary clinic and is able to save them. And their story continues the following season. And the real story of this season has been, again, with Scott. And the main thing is with him and Deucalion has kind of pushed Scott to where it helps him achieve his potential. So what it is Deucalion takes him to the spot where Deucalion had previously met Gerard years beforehand to try to negotiate a peace. And he tells Deucalion, look, I'm going to send a message to Jennifer and let her know, hey, we need to meet here. That way we can end this. And he sends a video saying, the spiral pattern here, this is a symbol for revenge. And this is where we're going to meet during this. And Jennifer has convinced Derek, look, I can't beat Deucalion, quote unquote, without you right now. At least not until these last sacrifices have happened, which are the parents. And he sends a video message and she ends up showing up. And Scott's actually surprised that Derek's there. And Derek's like, look, believe it or not, I'm actually here to help you. And Deucalion is amused by this. It's like brother versus brother, like an old-fashioned showdown. He starts taunting Jennifer, saying, have you gathered your herbs? Have you sacrificed your baby? Do you need to see why we've sacrificed 9 people in order to take me on? And while he's talking, you start to see him shifting and changing. And by the time he's done with it, you see his demon wolf appearance. It's very dark, very demonic. His eyes are intensely red. And it cuts to commercial at that point before you can see anything else happen. Now, all the while this is going on, Isaac and Allison were detained at her dad's house, because you find out that Scott's dad, who's an FBI agent, has come into town looking into these suspicious deaths because of the Dark Druid, Jennifer. And they were detained trying to figure out what's going on. And that's a backstory that you kind of figure out why next season. They end up getting away, and we'll get into that in another episode, because I will be covering Teen Wolf, more episodes of Teen Wolf in other episodes. But anyway, so a battle starts happening between Deucalion, Jennifer, and kind of Scott's kind of dwelling in the back, but Deucalion, Jennifer, and Derek. And Jennifer finds out that she's still not strong enough. She goes to hit him with a psionic blast, and it does nothing. And before she can do anything to really take him down, the eclipse, not the eclipse starts happening, but Deucalion tries to make Scott kill Jennifer. He subdues her. Deucalion tries to make Scott do it, and he roars at Scott, forcing him to shift, because he's that powerful. That's one of the alpha abilities. And before he's able to make Scott kill and take away his chances to become a true alpha, Scott lets Deucalion know that Gerard did tell him something, and that Deucalion isn't always blind, and that while he's an alpha and in wolf form, he can see. So he takes out flashbang arrow tips and slams them on the ground, and in the process of doing that, the lunar eclipse starts happening. And something you find out during a lunar eclipse is it doesn't make a werewolf stronger, it actually takes away their power, so it renders them human. And during this time, it takes away mostly all magic for wolves. And Jennifer in her true form comes in and starts attacking Deucalion, and she starts slamming his head against the ground as many times as she can, busting him open. And Derek actually stops her, and he says he doesn't know. He doesn't know the sacrifice that it cost you. From earlier, when you find out that Jennifer was actually Kali's druid ambassador. So Jennifer summons and uses her powers to heal his eyesight. But in doing so, just like when Derek healed Cora, it drains Jennifer. So she tries to convince Derek to kill him, and he says no. Just because I'm a predator doesn't mean I'm a killer. So she starts to attack Derek, but by the time she starts really gaining her power back, the eclipse starts ending, and he starts getting his abilities back. Well, before anything else can happen, she throws up her hand, and a mountain ash ring starts going around her, and no werewolf can break through a mountain ash ring. And here's where the payoff really happens. So Scott goes up to the mountain ash ring and he starts putting one hand, and in the other hand he starts pushing. And she taunts him, saying, "You've tried this before, it didn't end well." And Scott just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. And eventually he pushes one arm through. And then he eventually pushes another arm through. And you see the smug smile on her face go from ha ha to oh crap. And then he eventually pushes one leg through. And you see the yellow in his eyes go from a bright yellow to a very bright red. And you see that he pushes one leg through, then the other leg through, and boom, breaks the ash ring. And he takes in a deep breath, and she literally stares up at him saying, "How'd you do that?" And he just looks at her and says, "I'm an alpha now." And he tells her to stop whatever she's doing with the storm, or I'll kill you myself, and I don't care what it does to my eyes. And Deucalion just plainly says, "Won't change the color of my eyes." He comes through and just slices her throat open. And that's it. And they believe it ends up killing her. Well, Derek and Scott decide to let Deucalion go, saying, "My mother once said that you were a man of vision, and we're hoping that you can be that man again. And if not, you'll never see us coming." And they decide to let Deucalion go. Styles, who had previously gotten into an accident because of the storm beforehand, ends up saving the parents by jumping into the pit after one of the main support beams breaks in the pit of the Nematon, using an aluminum bat supporting the beam. And because of the sacrifice that they had done in the beginning of the episode, Deaton had told them that all three of them will experience this darkness around their heart. And there's this voiceover saying that the darkness is always there, they're always going to feel it. And what happens when they do? Scott just simply says, "I'm just going to start looking out towards my friends." And that's kind of where it ends. You kind of see this montage of all the friends, and Scott's there, and Styles comes back to them, and they go to school. And at the very end of the episode, you see Jennifer slowly trying to drag herself towards the Nematon, trying to see if one last time it'll have enough power to save her. But before she gets there, you see Peter come out of nowhere. And she's like, "Oh, well, now that Scott's an alpha, you can steal his power and you'll be an alpha again." And he kind of just looks at her like, "Again, I'm always going to be the alpha." And then he ends up giving her the killing blow. And that's where not only the episode ends, but season 3A ends. Now, my final thoughts on the episode are, it's an absolutely fun episode. Not to say it didn't have its up and downs, but it's an absolutely fun episode. It was an enjoyment to watch, tied up a lot of the storylines for the entire season, especially from the first episode when Brayden says that she's here to find the alpha, and she says Scott McCall, and you're like, wait, what? All the way to this one. So I absolutely enjoyed it. It was a fun ride. I liked the character developments. I couldn't wait to see what happened with season 3B and how they were going to develop the characters and how they were going to top it and what they were going to do with it. And I did like the way that storylines played out with the next season. And believe me, 3B was an absolute... It got a lot darker, and character-wise, development-wise, it definitely threw some loops, especially with the character Styles and how they brought in Void Styles. And again, we will get to some of those episodes throughout these next few episodes. So please leave any comments or questions that you please anytime. I will do my best to get to them. I hope you had a good time listening to this as much as I had making it. Please ring the bell for any notifications. Like it if hit like for the algorithm, and I will definitely see you on the next episode. And as always, have a great day and